Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I wanted to start with this clip. I think this is from that lady named Lynette Zhang, and she had posted this onto Twitter. Watch this.
And look at the level of debt held by foreign and international investors. You can see going all the way back to the 70s that it's been a steady incline, a little dip in the 2002, but it's been a very steady incline. Little bit of bumpiness here going into 2008, and look at how straight line, and then there's a shift. Can you see that? That is a pattern change. And whether or not you realize it, and whether or not you even know what it means, what you need to know that it means is that something is changing. So when you get this straight line and a little bit of bumpy here going into that, but up here is when the bumps really start. And look at this decline. Look at it. It is the largest decline in treasury debt held by foreign investors since they started tracking it. So you see what I'm saying? The world is getting ready for the US dollar to no longer be world reserve currency. Are you getting ready for that? Let me show you how big that move is even more closely, because this was just the fourth quarter in 2021, right? So a year, that's how much foreign holders of our treasury debt. Well, boy, they were the biggest buyers of the treasury debt other than the Federal Reserve. That's not true anymore. This is a danger signal. Soft landing, garbage. No such thing as a soft landing. It is the most selling on record, and you need to stand up and take notice of it. This is a very, very, very big deal.
When that thing finally collapses, it'll happen overnight. It'll happen so fast nobody will even know what happened. That's why Glenn is my sponsor. I don't know if I've ever really even showed you these screenshots, but this is inside the Glint app where I buy some gold. Buy it inside the app. They've even got the charts and all the stuff, and you can also hold your money in US dollars or euro or GBP. But if you go down here, something else I may not have mentioned in a while, you can buy the gold, you can send the gold to other people with Glen accounts, you can save the gold, you can just keep it there, you can spend it on, and with your, of course, your Glint debit MasterCard, and that's what's so cool about it, and the link's in the top of the description. Tell them DAI sent you. Now check this out. Against the backdrop of Gary Gensler trying to protect us all, and trying to shut down all of crypto. These are the rumors anyway. I don't believe it's true, but they're wanting to scare everybody. That's what they're really wanting to do. But it says the SEC, 395 major legal actions against all the major banks, 1998 to 2020, $195 billion in fines issued. Banks are still allowed to continue ripping people off and making profits. And when it comes to crypto, oh no, we can't let people control their own money. Ripple's fighting for everyone, okay? And then the library weighed in, had a little tweet thread here. Cryptocurrency really is dying in the U.S. The government actually is winning. If we die, but people wake up in time to change this, it's still a win. It's not about whether cryptocurrency is a security. It's about whether average Americans can acquire and use cryptocurrency privately. I agree. If everyday people can easily and privately acquire cryptocurrency, the law is irrelevant. If the library dies, it won't be because the tech didn't work. It will die because it's impossible to get the tokens into people's hands. All right, and so, but here's something that I kind of agree with, folks. I think a lot of this is fear and market manipulation. I really do. Look at this. Listen closely. The coming crackdown on crypto is a psyop. Do not fall for it. It's the government pretending to be against it so the people think that they have won when government capitulates. It is clever and brilliant, and the masses will fall for it. We have seen too much. Folks, I've been through this before. The 2018, 2019, it was the same thing that we're going through right now. In fact, from 2013 on, we went through different phases of, oh, they're going to ban it and this and that. I can't even count the times. What I do know, and this is what matters, I do know that the poli-signs of the world, the custody for Wall Street, they've all been building behind the scenes, okay? These are the people that are not really focused on. This is not. Now, what I believe is that Gary Gensler wants to have some things are going to be allowed to be in retail hands, and he wants the other things to be in the hands of sophisticated investors. In other words, he wants all the money to be made by the sophisticated investors, okay? His friends, in other words. So that's part of what I think. You know how the whole Ethereum disguised whales process unfolded, where to this day those people are disguised and they're able to have these ICOs, and then later on it goes to retail, and by the time it hits retail, those people have already cashed out and they've made their money. I believe that's what Gary Gensler wants accredited investors to be able to do from now on in crypto. In other words, oh yeah, accredited people, they can hatch a token or whatever. And then once they've done their thing and they're all sitting there ready, then it can be put on a secondary JP Morgan market for the retail. They want to continue their monopoly, folks. That's what I think. Now, this guy says, RIP Ethereum, long live the king Bitcoin. If staking is banned in the US, 95% of all altcoins are wrecked. Guess what coin will pump? Well, let me give you a script change here, buddy. What if XRP got clarity from the lawsuit at about the same time that these guys are trying to ban staking and all that? What if Bitcoin and XRP all of a sudden were the only two digital assets with US clarity? What if Bitcoin all of a sudden had to compete head-to-head with XRP? You know what happens then, don't you? Duo 9. What happens then is there's no reason to own Bitcoin. Now, I found a clip from Davos 2023 that I had not seen. Brad Garlinghouse is talking about Ripple and whether it's a competitor to Swift. And I inserted a Gary Gensler clip in here because it seemed like the appropriate place to put it. Watch this.
Let's go there. Is Swift a competitor? Is Swift something that in a future scenario you would see working with? And what about transfers that happen through platforms like a Revolut or a WeChat?
Yeah. So Ripple decided early on that we wanted to be at kind of the infrastructure layer. There's a whole bunch of strategic issues associated with that. One of them, quite frankly, is that if you work with regulated endpoints, that's where all the regulatory frameworks apply. KYC, know your customer, AML, anti-money laundering, all the acronyms. If you work just with regulated endpoints, they're making sure that that is the case. Companies like WeChat have to do that regulatory work themselves. Now, Swift is kind of a competitor. It's slightly more complicated than that because Swift is really just messaging. When you send a Swift transfer, it's not liquidity. You're actually sending bank messages to banks that have liquidity. So to some degree, Citibank and HSBC, really the top two, JPM, those are the top three liquidity banks.
You mentioned Jamie Dimon, so let's bring it back to Jamie and JP Morgan. What do you think is going to be the thing that they will have to change the most or lose market share and somebody else is going to do better, faster, serve their clients better than JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs?
You can just hear the bankers panicking right now.
And when you're sending Swift messages, you're sending messages to banks to release liquidity and making sure the debits and credits match. So to some degree, really boil it down, Ripple's competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging of Swift, but in one, because we're both messaging and liquidity. And at the end of the day, again, as I described, Swift was developed 50 plus years ago. It architecturally hasn't really changed. It does remain slow. It remains, days. It does remain, relatively speaking, expensive. And actually, interestingly, it's quite error prone. And part of that is just, it's a one-way messaging protocol. So if I fat finger Tassos and I put one S instead of two in the middle, I guess you have three S's, but that will bounce back. They'll say, no, that account name doesn't match that person. That's an error. Now, if you use modern technology, you would get a real time, you're typing in Tassos an account number, you get a real time, okay, does that account match? Oh, I mistyped, I fat fingered that name. So the efficiency, we see, instead of a 6% error rate as reported for Swift, you see 10 bips of error, so 99.9% effective. So we think these are better technologies that can be applied broadly to the vast majority of, frankly, all of the banking system by selling it as a wholesaler, if you will. And therefore, if we don't compete with the WeChats, WeChat could be a customer of ours.
Ooh, WeChat could be a customer. That clip pretty much sums up what we've been dealing with in this SEC lawsuit. What you're really talking about is Liquidity Banks / SEC versus Ripple is what you're talking about. Now, this guy has knocked it out of the park here. You know how we've been talking about digital IDs and all these creepy globalists seem to be talking about how all of us need digital IDs so they can track us and all that. They're trying to use blockchain for evil. What if you flip the script and the digital IDs were going to be given to government officials and government entities so that the citizens can track what they're doing? That's the way it should be done.
Now, the bigger picture here is about trust in our public servants and our MPs. It's at rock bottom at the moment in terms of public perception for MPs, and stories like this do not help. I think it's time to do a root and branch review of MP salaries, of expenses, and basically what is actually good use of taxpayers' money. While we're getting governments who are trying to say that you possibly need more surveillance, more digital ID, there might be an argument that perhaps the table should turn and actually the public should ask for some digital ID and surveillance on our MPs.
Well, this is it.
That's exactly what we need. All right, Cowboy Crypto, who is the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel, he brought to my attention that there's some more JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon meetings that Gary Gensler had. So you can add 2 more onto that. That makes 9. Plus, he met with Vanguard multiple times, who manages Gary Gensler's money. There's JP Morgan, and then there's another Jamie Dimon on September 28th. And BlackRock, let's add that one in there too. Gary is always up to something. And then I said, listen to the story about a man named Jed. That would be Jed McCaleb. There are no coincidences. You know how everybody's using ChatGPT? OpenAI created it. We're excited. This is from back in 2018. We're excited to welcome the following new donors to OpenAI. Jed McCaleb, right there. And then it says down here, Elon Musk will depart the OpenAI board, but will continue to donate and advise the organization. As Tesla continues to become more focused on AI, this will eliminate potential future conflict for Elon. Don't forget, Elon is about to open up some kind of payment system through Twitter, right? Then this is XRP, the Standard Productions, which is parody. He says, oh man, that doesn't sound good. It's a Gary Gensler fake tweet. I can't wait to terrorize the world with our special announcement this afternoon. And I said, hilarious and sad for this country at the same time. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that Gary Gensler is so sad for this country. Remember, Gary Gensler's already made his money. His job now is to keep you and me from having too much money. Seems to be working very hard